Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we are reacting to the most painful extreme sports deaths ever, by Talking Hat. All right, a Talking Hat. Let's see what you got, my boy. Freaking, I think I've seen some of your videos in the past, and you know, very entertaining guy. Freaking, but let's see what the most painful extreme sports deaths are, because man, there's boxing, there's a whole bunch of stuff. All right, let's see. You know, I'm a boxer, you know. I love that shit.
In the summer of 2013, in the Swiss Alps near Martigny, one of the world's most daring stuntmen prepared for what should have been another breathtaking descent. His name was Mark Sutton. He's a professional parachutist best known for his role in the London 2012 Olympics opening ceremony, where he famously jumped into the stadium dressed as James Bond alongside the Queen. But this time, his jump would not end with applause. Sutton launched himself into the sky in a wingsuit, soaring across the mountain valley. For 20 exhilarating seconds, he glided like a bird, cutting through the air at speeds over 120 miles per hour. It was a sight few people on Earth would ever get to experience. But then, in an instant, it was gone. At 20 seconds into the flight, Sutton lost control. His trajectory veered off the correct pathway, and before he could recover, he slammed into the side of the mountain. When they found him, his body was unrecognizable, and they were only able to confirm that it was him through DNA scans. Investigators later examined footage of the jump to understand what went wrong. Nobody knows if it was a miscalculation, a heavy gust of wind, or simply the razor-thin margin of error that comes with flying inches from the ground in a wingsuit. No matter the cause, the outcome was the same. One of the sport's most skilled pioneers had paid the ultimate price, and there was no bringing him back.
That's crazy, bro.
Friends described him as fearless, committed, and unforgettable, a man who had lived his life in moments that most people could only dream of. But in extreme sports, even 20 seconds can be enough to determine your fate. Imagine clinging to the side of a speeding train. You climb to the roof with its steel rattling beneath your feet, wind screaming in your ears, and with your body being pumped full of adrenaline.
I want to be there.
That's train surfing, one of the most dangerous extreme sports out there. Although in reality, it's more reckless thrill-seeking than an actual officialized sport. It started decades ago in places like South Africa, Russia, and Germany, spreading worldwide as a dangerous daredevil subculture. One of the most prominent areas train surfing has become a part of is New York.
Okay.
On a Saturday afternoon in the Greenwich Village, down in the tunnels of the West 4th Street subway station, trains thundered through the darkness, with their steel frames rattling the walls as they sped past. For most, it was just another commute, but for one man, it was his opportunity to go train surfing. Police say he had been riding on the outside of a southbound F train as it tore through the tunnels. For a few moments, he clung to the side of the moving car. Then he climbed to the top, where he felt the rush of air and the roar of the tracks giving him a thrill like none other. I'm pretty sure most of you have played Subway Surfers at least once in your life. Whenever you hop on top of a train and make the mistake of hitting a tunnel, you'll fly off in a cartoonish manner, where you're then arrested by that big back that's chasing you.
Yeah.
You get a good laugh at it, then you play the game again. Yeah, it's nowhere near as hilarious in real life. It's horrible. As you could assume from this extremely dangerous and stupid sport, while the man finished climbing to the top of the train to get a gust of fresh air, he'd get more than he bargained for. A tunnel showed up, and before the man could even process what he saw, he lost his head.
Oh my god.
Because of the extreme amount of air pressure being thrown at his body at the moment, he fell and was caught underneath the train.
What the? Why,
At 3:11
bro?
p.m., a 911 call came in. Someone said they had seen a man slip beneath the subway earlier. And sure enough, when officers arrived, they found him under the train with his body decapitated. Whatever adrenaline he had been chasing ended instantly, and it was replaced by silence and horror in the underground. For the unfortunate commuters forced to pass the site, it was a grim reminder of the dangers lurking in the city's underground. But for police, it was just another entry in a long list of subway surfing tragedies. Quick little moments of thrill that collapse into traumatic memories that both strangers and loved ones alike will never forget. The adrenaline is never worth the risk. Your body is priceless.
Bro, it's like,
And
because trains are fast as hell, bro. Why would you even do that shit? Like, that shit is just stupid.
The whole reason I make these stickmen videos is so that you don't have to witness the real thing. Don't go searching for these videos online. The effect it has on your brain is horrible. especially if you're young. Traumatizing yourself isn't worth it, and trust me, I can promise you that. The slamming incident. High in the Swiss Alps, the snow glistened under a cold April sky. For a young 21-year-old world champion snowboarder, this was more than a mountain. It was her playground, her stage, and most of all, her destiny. She had conquered countless competitions and had practically carved her name into the world of snowboarding. But on this day, the mountain carved back. The woman was being filmed for a project, showcasing her incredible skill as she cut across the steep alpine slopes. The cameras rolled, her board sliced through the powder, and everything seemed perfect. Then, without warning, the snow itself began to move. Like, a lot. In the blink of an eye, an avalanche broke loose. Tons of snow and ice thundered down the mountain, faster than any snowboarder could ever outrun. It should be known that on average,
that's why I don't
move
even.
at about
I
80
hate
miles per hour.
snowboarding.
At that speed,
I never went
that's enough force to
snowboarding, but
topple
I
any
don't like
building,
it already
rock,
because
or tree caught in its path. Most of which are moving along with the avalanche.
Maybe I'm
whenever
just
it's
scared.
crashing down a mountain. It slammed into the woman with the force of a speeding vehicle, and she was swallowed by it instantly. Rocks, debris, branches, and heavy ice carved and tore at her body as she was dragged through the snow until its eventual finishing slump. Finally, the avalanche stopped, but the woman was missing. She lay buried alive deep within the frozen chaos, crushed and disfigured. Rescue teams rushed in, digging through the snow and desperately searching for her. But by the time they found her, it was already too late. Even with safety gear and avalanche detectors, the force was overwhelming. This woman, once one of the brightest and youngest stars in snowboarding, was gone in seconds. Even champions are fragile against nature. If you're an outdoorsy person like me, always be alert of its dangers. The Red Bull incident.
That's crazy.
The arena was packed and its air was alive with cheers and the violent rhythm of tradition. In the center, a matador faced down his opponent.
Be going
not
crazy.
another fighter, not another man, but a bull weighing more than half a ton, bred for power, speed, and fury. At first, the
why
fight
do you
went
test a
as
bull?
expected. The matador waved down his red cape and the bull charged.
You already
As you'd
know,
guess,
like,
in the background, the
them
crowd
shits
roared
are
each
freaking
narrow
crazy.
escape.
Taking down
With over
damn.
2 decades of experience in the ring, this 39-year-old Spanish bullfighter was known as one of the
going
best to
up
do it
against
in his
hippos
time.
and shit.
He'd toss his cape to one side, effortlessly thwarting the bull's charge. Then he'd do it again to make the crowd go wild.
Wait.
But then,
That's
in a heartbeat,
rhinos.
the balance shifted.
Shit,
He'd
man.
put up his cape again for the bull
Bulls
to
be-
charge past
but,
him,
like,
but
bulls be going
unexpectedly,
crazy,
it
bro.
caught him. The bull slammed into the matador's face with a force that was so brutal that the horn struck him in his skull, fracturing upward through his jaw and out his eye. He was hit directly in the head by a 1,000-pound bull's horn, effectively splitting his face in two.
It was
The
raps.
crowd fell silent as blood poured onto the sand. The matador dangled helplessly, impaled by the animal until it heavily thrashed him off of its horn. The worst part is that the man was fully conscious. He rose back from the ground like a zombie and began screaming that he couldn't see, sending the crowd into a horrific panic. Other bullfighters jumped into the ring to distract the bull and to retrieve the man's body. Once again, his face was split in two, his teeth were shattered, his jaw and cheekbone were fractured, and the horn head punctured out his eye and pierced him right through his skull. But, to everyone's complete and total shock, the man actually somehow survived. The horn pierced his
That
skull
shit's
and was
crazy.
dangerously close to his brain, but it missed. Against all odds, he returned back to the ring less than a year later, and he'd continued
What
his
the
passion.
fuck?
Juan Jose Padilla is now known as the Pirate of Bullfighting. In 2018, he'd experienced another horrible incident where he was scalped by a bull. Honestly, this man might just be
Dude,
invincible
why?
because he'd somehow survive once more, and he'd return back to the
No,
ring again
I think
to
that he
continue
needs
the
to.
sport.
I think he needs to stop.
Extreme sports
like,
are, well, pretty extreme.
retire.
And honestly, there's really nothing wrong with living life to the fullest. All I'd say is
I
that adrenaline
understand,
makes
but,
you
like,
feel invincible. But reality has no safety net. So, always, at
Whenever
least make
there's
sure
more
the risk
than
is
once,
worth the
dude,
reward.
like, I think
As
this
always,
time, like,
have a
you
happy
know,
day.
Like, I don't understand it, man. Like, if you guys enjoyed that video, please leave a thumbs up. That was just horrible. Freaking, like, I would not want, like, out of all of them, I don't think I would. The bull one is rough. That one is rough. But I think I would rather not go through the avalanche one. Me personally, because that would be a real scary situation for me personally. But if you guys like the video, please leave a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe to your boy. With that being said, much love and see you next video. Peace. Wait, no. Peace.